Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Croydon Constitutionalists Pubcast. Dan, how are you and where are we?
I'm very well, thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. We are in the Pear Tree in Purley.
Excellent. Dan, what are we drinking today?
I'm having a pint of Tribute Bitter, and I think you're having a Hell's Lager.
I am indeed, and it's going down very well, despite the fact I perhaps enjoyed some last night as well. So we're recording at the start of 2023, and we just wanted to have a bit of a review of last year, 2022, for the Croydon Constitutionalists. So first to have a think about some of our events. Firstly, we had our monthly third Wednesday drinks, and it really was great to see so many people at those. But then our first big event was in February with our hustings. We had David Amamago of the Christian People's Alliance, Zach Starling of the Heritage Party, Gavin Palmer, the Independent Mayor for Croydon, Lawrence Williams of the Libertarian Party, later the SDP, and Steve Kelleher of the SDP, and he's remained there. Dan, what did you think of that event?
It was an excellent event, well attended, and it was really good to give people the opportunity to attend a hustings who wouldn't normally be represented at many hustings. Obviously, we had a directly elected mayoral election here in Croydon, and so there were a number of hustings for that event, let alone what hustings there may have been for local candidates. But we saw a gap in the market, and there was not many of these people being invited to hustings, so it was good to hear what they had to say, and it was also good just to get people together and to have a chat. And as you said, Mike, interestingly, the chap from the Libertarian Party, he later stood as a council candidate, not in Croydon but elsewhere for the SDP. So it's good to get people together.
It is, and I really enjoyed being able to do that. I'm not sure anyone else would have, frankly, and I think that's. I'm happy we did. Well, moving on, in July we had the Taxpayers Alliance come down to Purley, where we are today, and do a Town Hall Rich List Roadshow, and we spoke about Joe Negrini's payoff. Dan, what did you think of that day?
It was a great day. We had a great response from the people of Purley, who were particularly interested in just quite how much Joe Negrini received for her failure as Chief Executive of Croydon Council. And obviously everybody's council tax is going up exponentially because of the bankruptcy of the council. We did actually, if I recall correctly, find one person who did think that her payoff was completely justified if it was indeed contractual. But the vast majority of people we spoke to very much disagreed with it. So it was good to get out there and speak to the people of Purley and hear what they had to say.
Absolutely. And not long after that, we had My Tuppence Worth, our free speech event, in August, and that was pretty well attended. We had Zach Starling again speak, Councillor George Pender, and Hilary Judge, and my good self. So thanks to all of those for speaking. Dan, I enjoyed that. I like giving people that opportunity, much like with the hustings, and it was great, the Q&A, how much people were involved.
Absolutely, it's good to give people the opportunity to speak, and if nothing else, it gives people the practice of public speaking, which, unless you are in certain positions in the job, you don't always get those opportunities. But it was good to hear what people had to say, things that they were interested in and were passionate about, and to get quite a bit of back and forth and some interesting dialogue on those subjects.
And the speeches people gave, where they were written down, they've gone on our website, they've gone on the Blacklist Press free speech newsletter. So that's just it's gone online for others to see. It's gone out on a national newsletter. There's a really great opportunity there that we can keep reusing that information, and more and more people can see what was said. So thanks everyone who took part in that. I'm sure we'll see that return this year at some point. Then perhaps our big event of the year, and really what we were set up for initially was to bring events like the Climate, Rational Action and Affordability event in September, which we held also in Purley. Harry Wilkinson, the head of policy at Net Zero Watch, and Benjamin Elks of the Taxpayers Alliance spoke on the issue of global warming and from a climate skeptic, global warming skeptic perspective, I think it's fair to say. Really good to get them down here, a good turnout, and the sort of event that would have only happened in London if we weren't putting it on in our local area.
Absolutely, as you say, Mike, it's a sort of event that we've been looking to hold for some time. Obviously, we've been somewhat curtailed in what we've been able to do over the last few years, but it was really good to get that event on, to get those great speakers along. And we'll be looking to do more events, yes, on that same subject, but more events in the coming year on other subjects, and getting people along to Croydon and getting the people of Croydon involved in these issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And then perhaps the real highlight in December, the undisputed, the clear champions of the Christmas quiz of the Freedom Association, as the Croydon Constitutionalists stormed to an emphatic victory at the Barley Mow on the night. Dan, talk us through the fight.
Well, I think the key moment was the flags round, and my vague recollection of the Trinidad and Tobago flag from some sort of cricket game I've watched at some point, which seemed to be the winning run, if you like, on this occasion. So no, it was a good event. It was good to get some of us together to take part in that quiz and to support a great organisation like the Freedom Association. And obviously, winning was the icing on the cake for that. But a great evening. Great to see some familiar faces for me and to introduce people to those faces. So yeah, great evening, and always good when you win.
Absolutely. So there were lots of other events going on, and it's not just about us. We've always been about trying to get others involved. It's about issues, not necessarily personalities. So the Heritage Party were out campaigning in the area. The SDP have been out campaigning. They've held drinks here. The Together group is now running monthly events in Croydon. Mentioned already, we had loads of articles published in Blacklist Press, so thanks to Chris Wilkinson for getting that done. And the more the merrier, the more of these we want to do. But it wasn't just events. I'll quickly do a run through of our podcasts. Guests on them, and with thanks to all of them, Tim Juice, Harley Dalton of the Independents for Liberty, Dr. Tek Kong of the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom Party, Andrew Allison of the Freedom Association, Graham Edley of the Bruges Group, Tam Laird of the Scottish Libertarian Party, Councillor Alistair Stewart from here in Croydon, Chris Wilkinson of Blacklist Press, Hongwei Che and Zach Starlin of the Heritage Party. Thank you all for coming on our podcast, and thank you to everyone that wrote interviews and articles and responded to our questions on our website. There really are too many for us to mention, but we're getting a good readership on our website, and anyone that wants to write for us, it'd be much appreciated. We can get that on there, push your ideas and thoughts out, and people will read it. So really, to everyone that's been engaged with it, thank you. Dan, just that last bit there, any highlights for you?
I think, the main highlight is that I think in 2022 we've started to do what we set out to do a few years ago, and obviously we were curtailed by the let's call it the pandemic if we want. But we were curtailed in doing that, and I think we got a bit better in 2021, but things weren't quite right. And in 2022 we've started to actually implement that vision, and I'm really looking forward to 2023 when I think we can actually make some great progress. And as we have this conversation, politicians and bureaucrats are putting more and more issues in front of us. We thought we'd run out of ideas, but thankfully our politicians are giving us more and more work to do. Sadiq Khan.
Yes.
Good 2022, but really looking forward to 2023.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for listening, and cheers.